If wavy ain't wavy, what is he? I keep it chopping the glizzy. Keep it a stack, no kizzy. Don't hit me up, I'm busy. I'm with the chop like a mellow. Popping the kitty, hello. Turning your brain to jello. Mexican plug Ernesto. If wavy ain't wavy, what is he? I keep it chopping the glizzy.
What is up, everybody? It's been a while since I made a YouTube video. I'll talk about that a little bit, but I'll also talk about a specific topic that I really do think is kind of important and kind of key. For those of you who are new, my name is Thomas, Wavy Tom, whatever you want to call me, honestly, but I am me. And I am a content creator, somewhat aspiring content creator, aspiring influencer. Usually my YouTube channel focuses on a lot of content that I appreciate, whether that's skits or whether that's parts of my culture or parts of like reactions. I love music, so music. What else do I like? What else do I do on my YouTube channel? Funny things, like honestly, sports, like things that I enjoy without it being on camera, if that makes sense. I don't really come on here and do things just for a camera or clicks and views. I'm hoping not to make this video too long, so I'm gonna get to my point. With that being said, I think a lot of times people overlook something in social media, and I've been seeing it a lot recently, especially because I've been doing a lot of mental and emotional and whatever. Like, I think it takes a lot of intelligence and integrity to yourself to really get on, not even on a camera, to be honest, but to like be honest with yourself about certain things. Now, we're not really here to talk about me when it comes to this, but the point of this video that I really wanted to talk about, going back to my culture too, is how mental health is perceived in the Ethiopian culture or just in like society itself. But I'll speak briefly about like habesha, like mental health and stuff like that. And I'm going to do this video in one take. I might put an intro, might put an outro, but I'm not going to really be editing and stuff. I'm not cutting this so you can see my full, blunt, honest, intrusive thoughts. I want to start off by saying that mental health is one of the most confusing, one of the most shrewd, one of the most like just there's so many different things to pick your brain out of, but so many different things to like pick and choose when it comes to mental health. And when it comes to that, and I think it's important to remember not everyone's the same. So not what like I might go through is what somebody else goes through and vice versa and stuff like that. But beyond that, there really is no, like, you don't need to be diagnosed with something to be feeling something. Feelings are valid. I don't think every feeling is valid, but I think that we could talk about that another time. But I do think that everyone feels a certain type of way, and that isn't always because like, oh, you're sad, so you're depressed. Like, I don't think that's how mental health, or I don't think that's how feelings work. But I will say that when it comes to how people deal with their emotions, stuff like that, people, like, for example, for me, if I'm ever having a rough day, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to go hit some weights. I'm going to go play some basketball. I'm going to go run. I'm going to go, like, burn out my system. But beyond that, too, for me, I like to talk about it. I like to have conversations about it. I like to just be honest and open and throw everything out that I'm feeling in my system. That's how I get through things. And for me, that is very helpful. Like, that is what really, like, pulls me out of those, like, terrible, terrible days. For some people, it could be substances. It could be substance abuse. It could be drinking. It could be, stuff like that. For some people, it could be making music. Juice World, well, it was substances for Juice World too, but Juice World, you can hear in a lot of his songs, he's talking about a lot of things that affects him. Even his substance abuse, he's talking about it in the songs per se. For some people, like I said, like, it could be a hobby, it could be an activity. They pour whatever they're feeling into stuff like that. Now, is that healthy? It depends. If every time that you feel this way, you go to the gym and you just pump it out, that's cool. But that's why I said I also like to talk about it, because no matter what kind of activity or hobby that you do, it never really takes away until you address what you're feeling. And addressing what you're feeling is the root of everybody's like sadness or anxiety or whatever. Until you address what it is you're feeling, why it is you're feeling, how come you're feeling like that, when did it start, and where do you start to pull yourself out of that, you will never overcome what you're feeling. And with that being said, going back to our culture and stuff like that, our culture, for the most part, majority of people who are Ethiopian end up being Orthodox too, or some sort of Christian. I'm not going to get into that kind of debate in this video, but even if it's not Christian, you attribute it to some part of your religion. So in our religion or in our culture, as soon as somebody says, "Oh, whatever," just go to school, or you know what, we're going to book you a nice one-way flight to Ethiopia. Do not come back until you're better. And that's, to me, that's sick, because people don't, like, again, there's like the old question of like, does beating your kids work? Like, is it helpful? Does it really create like some sort of like, does it correct anything? Beating your kids, hitting your kids. In most cases, we know that it does and it doesn't. Like, I was, don't call child services or whatever, but I was beat as a kid to a certain extent. Like, I wasn't like abused, but like I was hit as a kid. But I didn't look back, and I don't blame people for that, if that makes sense. Oh, I got hit with a belt, or I got hit with a shoe. I was abused. Like, that's not how I look at it. But not everybody has that same response. And if you're talking about like a, percentage wise, do more people who get hit versus people who don't get hit, what happens? That's an ethical question that you can, you can have with your friends or whatever. But that's why I say I raise the question of, does it benefit people to be quote unquote hit as a kid for their mental being later when they grow up? People who get hit sometimes end up beating their kids and actually abusing them this time, not just hitting them to correct something, to learn a lesson. And like, there's whatever, whenever I was hit or whatever, at some point there will be a conversation, and that conversation ends in a loving way. Like, there's like the affirmation that comes out after it, which, after a certain point, you get to a certain age where you don't get hit anymore, because it doesn't work for teenagers anymore. If you're a teenager, 14, 15, getting hit at that point, that it's a fight, you know what I'm saying? But when you're 12, 11, not even like younger, it's like, that's where it's like, you get hit, cool, you talk about it. Why were you hit? Oh, okay, cool. There's affirmations after it. At least that's what worked for me, right? It's not going to work for everybody, but that's just an example. For somebody else, they grow up and they start hitting their kids, but not just hitting, abusing. There's no affirmations after it. They never really learn the moral, the lesson behind it. I'm only saying that because in our culture, to a certain degree, the judgmentalness, is that even a judgmentalness? Is that a word? Whatever. But the judgmental looks, the shaming, the constant need to never affirm the fact that mental health is real. It's something that is like, it's relevant in our lives, in a lot of people's lives. And again, being very specific to our culture, even in our religion. I'm Orthodox Ohio, so I can only speak on that religion. But growing up, there's a lot of judgmental looks in that religion. A lot of people who leave because of how judgmental it is. A lot of people who can't take it anymore and end up developing something serious because when they were younger, or when they were growing up, or coming into age, the questions they had, or the overwhelming feeling of how they were feeling was never addressed, and it was never felt through. And for those people, I'm sorry, because I'm at an age right now, I'm at a conscious and intelligent being level wise that I can answer these questions, and I can have this conversation with people, and I can really like dig deep and really like empathize with somebody. But for lack of better words, the generation above us wasn't the best at it. And it wasn't the best at really having those conversations and building people up. Because for lack of better words, the generation above them broke them down too. And again, a lot of people, before you get mad at your parents or whatever for like whatever, you have to understand that where did they come from? And you have to understand that like people, we're all creatures of habit. So we not only, but we primarily learn off of seeing from others. So especially as babies or kids growing up, you're really only seeing from majority of people that like your immediate family, people around you, stuff like that, right? Once you get to like, 15, 16, high school is really when you start to, okay, there's everybody here's around me. They all got different traits and habits, whatever, from other people. And then you start learning other things. That's why when people, like get to high school and get to college, whatever, they start changing a little bit because now they're picking up things, lingo, habits, like different like characteristics from other people that they're spending time around with, because we're creatures of habit. No matter what, we're always gonna be like, oh, that's cool. I'm like, you're always gonna steal ideas from your environment. So with that being said, the solution, in my opinion, isn't to send your kid to Ethiopia for 6-7 months and call it quits, and to expect that, the beating or like sending them to a monastery, stuff like that, like that's gonna help. It might, not saying that it doesn't, like it might, but at the end of the day, that's why there are therapists. That's why there are psychiatrists. That's why there are like professionals who specialize in how the brain works. Because at the end of the day, like there is science behind this. Like it's not just religion. It's not just whatever. It's not just like feeling. Like there's science behind it too. There's, sometimes you might not have an answer to the question that you're thinking about or to how you feel, but there are people who can at least try and guide you to that answer, if not solve it for you. But, that was a question that's been really bugging me in my head. And I haven't uploaded a video in a little bit, and I'm trying to be more consistent. So this is my chance at, like getting on here, doing something relevant, doing something a little more whatever. On the road to 1,000 subscribers. I think I'm at like 970 now. So, 30 people want to subscribe, get me to a band. And I don't know. This is a serious video, but we'll be back with the skits, whatever, all that cool stuff at some point. If you enjoyed the video, please like, comment, subscribe. If you have any thoughts, put them in the comment section below. I might put some TikToks out responding to those comments. But yeah, Wavy Tom out.
Pikachu diamonds, they yellow. Indian plug, you my fellow. Indian plug, you my Toto. Yeah.